Alrighty, hello fellow YouTubers and friends and all of those people that might watch this video. This is the second of my Visual Basic lessons that I'll be doing. I'll be doing a couple more, maybe, I don't know, depends on what I decide to do. But for this video I don't exactly have a lesson plan figured out or anything, or any specific things that I really want to go over as far as code, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make a fairly simple calculator, not like the one that comes with your computer, but simpler, and I'm going to try and run into a few problems so that I can show you different ways of getting around them and different things that Visual Basic can do that'll make your life easier. So, I guess there's not a whole lot more I can explain about what I'm going to do. I'm just going to have to show you and you'll hopefully pay attention. I'm going to try and explain things pretty well as we go along. So, after you open up Visual Basic and you do a standard exe, this is what your form should look like, just blank and pretty much just your standard form. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to set this up to look like the calculator that we're going to make. First thing I want you to do is just select the form, and then we're going to go over to our properties little dialog, and we're going to change the form caption to calculate for, so we know what we're doing. The next thing I want you to do is right above caption there's a property called border style. We're going to change that to one fixed single, which gives us only an X up here so that when your program's running people can't like change the size of the window and make it look all retarded. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to downsize this a little bit. We'll figure that out in a minute, how big it actually needs to be. And so there, you got that much, hopefully, so far. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to throw on 3 text boxes. Right after, well, yeah, let's move them down a little bit because I'm going to put some labels above them so that we know what they're for. So just slap 3 text boxes on there, something like this. Yeah, we can make them a little closer, I guess. It's not a big deal. And then we're going to take some labels and stick those right above the text boxes. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put 4 buttons below the text boxes, and yes, I know I'm just kind of telling you what to do right now, and I'll explain what we're going to do with all of these things in a second. Yeah, it looks kind of messy, but it's not terribly important because, you know, nobody's going to be buying this, I hope. Actually, let's make that 5 buttons. Just put a big one down at the bottom. That'll work. We can make it look kind of nice. So, there we go. There's a simple layout for our calculator. Now, the next thing I want you to do is go up to the labels that we put here, and for label 1, we're going to change the caption of that to number 1. Simple enough. For label 2, change that to number 2. And for label 3, change that to result, because what we're going to do is we're going to put the first number that we're going to mess with here, and then the next number here, and then whenever we click whatever we want to do, the result's going to pop out here. Now, for now, I want you to leave the text boxes in here alone. I'll show you how to get rid of that in code, which the last lesson should have showed you how to do that, but we're going to show you again anyway. So, the next thing I want you to do is go to Command 1, and we're going to change that caption to add. Command 2, change that caption to subtract. Command 3, change that caption to multiply. And Command 4, let's change that to divide. And then finally, Command number 5, make that clear. So, now that our little calculator has all the buttons and things that we're going to need on it, we can go ahead and we can start to write some code. Now I just pulled that out so that we can double click and get to the form load code, and we're going to do that right now. So this brings up private sub form load, and this form, well, it's code for the form, and this is what's going to happen when the form loads. So basically anything you want to happen right when you load the program, we're going to put in here. Just for example purposes, I'm going to put a message box first. Actually, no, let's do that last. Maybe I won't explain why, but if you mess around with this, you'll be able to figure out why. Because things in a program are done in order, so you want to put things in the order you want them to happen. So, the first thing we're going to do is, if we remember what our text boxes are called, which you should, and I'm not talking about the captions or the text that's in them, the actual names, which is text 1, text 2, and text 3, we are going to clear those out when the form loads, so there's nothing in them. They don't show text 1, text 2, text 3. I'm just going to leave them there in the developer window so that we know what they're called for when we're messing with them, in case we forget, which we shouldn't, but I'm just doing that to be nice. So, text1 dot text equals nothing. Just put blank quotes. And we're going to do this for all 3 text boxes. So when we start the program, I'll show you right now, there's nothing in the text boxes. They're cleared right out. Okay? So that's simple enough. And the next thing we're going to do is, well, here, I'll throw that message box that I wanted in. Welcome to oh my god. Ulator. Woohoo! So we will start the program and it says, welcome to calculator, whoop-de-doo, and we get our little calculator. So, now that we've done that, we're ready to actually start the calculating code, and we can go ahead and size this back because I don't think we'll be needing the form code anymore, and even if we do, that's what this little button up here is for, so we can view code that we've already typed, or that we haven't typed yet and we want to type. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the add button. We're going to double click, and that's going to give us our command 1 code for the event click. So this is going to happen whenever you click command 1 or the add button in this case. So, and I'll explain how this works. We want the result to come out in text 3, and we want it to do whatever we're doing to text 1 and text 2. So for this, we're going to add text 1 to text 2 and spit the result out in 3. I think I already explained that, but I'm explaining it again. And sorry if I'm talking extremely fast, because the size of this video is getting huge really quick. So I'm trying to get things done at a relatively quick pace. If you have trouble, go back, and I'm just wasting more time saying this. Anyway, here we go. We're going to do text3.text equals. Now, we're setting what's going to happen and what's going to come out in text 3 by doing this. So text3 equals text1.text plus text2.text. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to show you how this is problematic, how this won't work the way we want it to, and then I'll show you how to fix it. Yes, welcome to calculator. So, here's our calculator, and let's take, for example, 2 plus 2, and then we hit add. Now, if you're any good at math at all, you should know that 2 plus 2 is not 22. So, we're going to go ahead and close this, and I'll explain why that happened. Text 1 and text 2 are strings, so whenever you try and add a string to another string, it doesn't act like numbers. It only appends a string to whatever was. So, as another demonstration, I'll take my name is, let's put a space, Brandon. Since these are still text boxes, it's going to put out my name is Brandon in the end, and you can see it appended the 2 strings together. Now, how do we want to fix that? How do we want to make this work for numbers? This is how you're going to do that. I haven't explained functions yet, but they're fairly easy to work with, and I'll give you a simple function that it's a cast function, so I'll explain how it works in a second. What it is CSNG, and then you put parentheses around the text box. Or no, CSNG, not D. So, CSNG stands for cast single, and a single is a data type that is, I believe it's a decimal number that can go out to a precision of like 7 digits or something like that. But anyway, it's what we need for this program, and we're going to do that to both of these. Now, how functions work, I'll just give you a brief overview. I'm sure I'll get into a more detailed explanation in another video. but basically it's function name, parentheses, whatever data you're giving it, and then just like that. However, a function is not like a sub that you can give data. A function has to have, crap, I can't think of the word. Let's just call it the thing that you want to set, or that you want to modify with the function. So, in this case, if we were just to have this code alone, what it would do is text3.text is going to equal the single, keep in mind that's a data type version of whatever is in text1.text. Now if we throw text like my name into text1 with this code right now, it's going to crash. But I think I'll save some time. If I have some time at the end, I'll explain how to add error checking, and we'll make it so the program won't crash when we do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that, and hopefully that explained a little bit. So, as an example, we can go back. Yes, welcome to the calculator. I'm going to have to take that out because that's annoying. We add 2 plus 2, add, and the result is 4. Now that's correct. That's good. And we can also do 2 plus 2.2 equals, it should be 4.2, yeah. So the single data type lets you do decimals and stuff. We could also do cint, which would cast these as integers, and it would not allow us to do decimals, but just for functionality's sake, we're going to let it do decimals today. Now, that's all we need for command 1. And for the sake of saving time, what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste that code, since it's basically the same, into each of these, except we just change the operator. Since this is subtract, we change it to a minus instead of a plus. Same thing for multiply. We're going to take the plus out, we're going to put the star symbol, which in Visual Basic and most programming languages is the multiplier operator. And for command 4, which is divide, we put a slash. So there's our calculator so far. Oh my, yeah, I forgot to take that out. And just to make sure everything works, we can do 5, 2, and we subtract, and the result is 3. We can do 5 times 2, which is 10, and 5 divided by 2 gives us a nice decimal, as an example. And that's all we need so far. So, yeah, let's go back to the code and take out that message box real quick, because I hate it. And actually, now that I think about it, we're pretty much done, so I might actually have some time to go over the error checking. And the last thing we're going to do is, for the clear button, we're going to clear out all the text boxes so that we can more easily put in new numbers. So, we're text1.text equals nothing. And it's basically just the same thing that's in form load. We're just clearing out the text boxes. Equals nothing. text3.text equals nothing. So, there we go. And just to show you that that works, we're going to put in some numbers here. I know that's not right, but clears them out. And let's do 5 times 10 should be 50. So there we go. Our calculator works. It's very simple. You can do just basic operations, you know. You can do decimals, and something tells me that 5 times 10.5 is not 52.5, but then again, I am horrible at math, so I'm going to just double check that real quick. Oh, no, it's right. Okay, never mind. So the next thing that we can do is I will show you error checking and why we want to have that. If we take, for example, just put b plus 2 obviously is not going to give us an answer. It's going to crash the program with a runtime error. Debug. Well, actually, we can just end the program. There's a little fancy, well, it's not fancy, but a little thing we can do in Visual Basic. You put it at the top of a sub or anything that you want to have error checking, and it's called on error, or not or, error, and then you type whatever you want it to do. So we're going to go to a label, and labels in Visual Basic, I don't think I went over them in any previous lessons, but I might have. But basically, it's just if you want to skip code that's in a sub, you use labels. you can do it other ways, but this is a really easy to explain way. So we're going to go to oops, and we just go down a little bit, and we're going to make a label called oops, which is just the name with a colon. Let's put a message box that says you need to use numbers, and since this is only in the adding part right now, that's all it's going to work for. So let's do b+2 again, add, and it says you need to use numbers, and the program doesn't crash. I'm going to go ahead and end that now. And what we can do is, since these subs are separate, we can literally copy and paste our error checking once again, so that this will work in all of our little operations. Let me finish copying and pasting this real quick. So, there we go. We've got our calculator. It's got error checking so that we can't add letters to numbers, and it'll tell us what we need to fix, and we can go ahead and clear that. We're running out of things to really explain in such a simple program, so I'm going to go over one more thing, which I went over in a previous lesson, but I'm just going to show you again that you can do it in Visual Basic. We're going to, rather than having the same code in two places, I'm going to get rid of this code that's in Command 5, which is the clear button, and what we're going to do is exactly like FreeBasic, we're going to type form_load, and what this is going to do is when we click the button, it's going to execute the code in form load and clear out the text boxes just like it did at the start of the program. So, to show that it works again, blah blah blah. Why 36? That's a good question. We clear, and it runs form load, and the text boxes are clear. This is a handy little thing that you can do so that you don't have to type the same code over and over and over again. You might ask, what about this stuff up here? Well, that's not quite the same because this code is not, it's not identical. We have adding, subtracting, multiplying, etc. You get the idea. So we can't just call sub from a different thing. We could write some big fancy sub and choose the operator we want to have, but that's really kind of pointless when we can, this is so simple. I could explain it in another lesson, but I'm not going to right now. So, I believe that's all we have for this lesson, since we got done that calculator pretty quick, and I'm just going to show that it works again. Multiply. You know, that's curious. Did I put a space in either of those? No, I don't think so. I need to use numbers. I did use numbers. That's interesting. It's nice when we run into problems like this, because then I can show you how to figure them out. But this one is not popping right into my head, because it seems very stupid. There shouldn't be an error. Well, since that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put a comment here, which the not parenthesis, quotation, single quotation mark in front of a line of code comments it in Visual Basic. So we're going to message box error.num. This is going to show us a message box with the error number. And there's other little fancy things in Visual Basic like that that you can do, but that's not for this lesson. So, let's do the same thing again, and hopefully this will show us runtime error for the object does not support this property or method. I might just be fucking this program up more than I plan to. I really should probably, do more programming, because I'm terribly unfamiliar with all the stuff that I used to do. Well, let's go ahead and comment this out and see if it crashes when we do that, because that's just odd. See, there's no error. Well, here, how about this? We need to figure out what the error number for that is, blah blah blah. God, I need to remember to do this stuff. Okay, now that I've thoroughly bored everyone for a few minutes trying to just confusing myself more, I'm going to do something real quick. for this, we're going to go ahead and comment this stuff out, and we're going to make the program crash so I can see what the error number is. We're going to put a condition in here well, just for one. You can add them to all of them, but I'm going to just add it to one to save time. We're going to put a condition so that the message box only comes up on a certain error message. So, that's only going to be when there's a letter in the text box. There are other errors that can happen, but we're just going to make the message box appear for that. This is a more professional way to do it. So, just get an example, see what number it is, runtime error 13. Okay, go ahead and end. So, we're going to uncomment this, and in our little error box, we're going to put if error.num equals 13. So, this is if the error number is 13, then it's going to show the message box, and we can go ahead and indent that, and if. So, if there's another error, the program's going to crash, but as long as it's error number 13, which is there's text in the number box thingy, then it'll show that. And I can't think of a way to generate another error right now, so for now, this works perfectly fine, and you can take this little bit and you can throw it into all the other subs to make them work the same. So, now we are done our calculator, and that took a little longer than I expected to because I ran into a problem that I couldn't think of how to fix right away. Anyway, I hope you all learned a little something or another from that. If you have questions, comment, message me, whatever, I will try to get to them. And I hope you learned something. Thanks. Bye.